don't back down. If you are a small social media manager in a large company, you're probably getting all kinds of pushback, all kinds of ideas. Stick to what you know because you went to school for it or you did all the training for it. You know what you're talking about. Trust your instincts, trust your knowledge, and don't back down.
This is Social Pulse Podcast Retail Edition, your go-to guide to solving your biggest retail social media marketing challenges authentically. I'm your host, Mike Allton, and each episode is an honest and frank look at what marketers go through, from awful algorithms to terrific trends and ideas that you can apply to your own business. And now, the rest of today's episode. Welcome back to Social Pulse Podcast Retail Edition, where we're digging into the challenges, successes, and stories of social media and community professionals in the industry, just like you. Subscribe to gain valuable insights that you'll be able to apply to your own work and social presence from each and every episode. Now listen, you part of a retail business struggling to move away from traditional newspaper and magazine advertisements? Feeling overwhelmed by the shift to digital marketing and social media? You're not alone. Many brick and mortar stores face significant resistance to change. They rely on methods they've known for years, leaving them hesitant to embrace new platforms and strategies. And this hesitation can leave your business lagging behind, missing out on the vast potential and engagement that social media offers. How do you break through those barriers and convince your team to embrace this change? Today's guest, Courtney McCoy, has successfully navigated this transition, turning resistance into results. As a seasoned social media manager, Courtney took a brick and mortar store from relying solely on print ads to achieving a 700% increase in organic reach through social media. Her expertise has brought life and engagement to traditional retail, making her a perfect guide for anyone facing this challenge. Hey, Courtney, welcome to the
Hey,
show.
Mike. Thanks for
So
having
glad
me
to have you here. Yeah, we're excited to have you here. I'd love if you could just start by sharing a bit more about your role and some of those initial challenges that you faced when trying to transition that traditional store to digital marketing.
Absolutely. So I was considered the social media coordinator of my job. So I work for a large home improvement / furniture company, and we have 11 stores in the location in the southeastern region. So my job was to make sure that every store had content coming out regularly. And my biggest challenge was getting them to see the importance of having consistent content and having their customers know, what's up.
Got it. And how did you address and what were some of the biggest hurdles that you encountered when you were working with that company's leadership and their staff when trying to introduce social media marketing?
So we had a marketing director who did most of the magazine ads. They did newspaper ads. They were doing a lot of the old style sort of marketing. So when I entered the picture, they had heard of social media marketing. They wanted a social media coordinator, but they didn't have any idea where to start. What I did was I came in and they had tried a few different social media coordinators, but nothing really stuck. So my goal was to build something from the ground up, building a content strategy and really honing in on consistent posting every single day.
So they'd already tried this a couple of times.
Yes, they did
Was
try it.
was there something that you said or did that convinced them, okay, we will try this yet again? Because I know, at least in my experience with the companies I've worked with, maybe not necessarily social media, but once they've tried a particular marketing tack a couple of times and it hasn't worked, they're like, no, we're not going to do that anymore. What was different for you?
The difference for me was actually getting into and convincing them that it was worth the money, worth the investment in working on organic content versus the paid social media ads. They had some success with the paid social ads during the pandemic, but they really weren't focused on the organic day-to-day posting, which for a lot of people, that's where their bread and butter is the day-to-day foot traffic that stores rely on, people coming in the door to see their new products. So when they were just doing these little blasts, like they were doing 3-day weekend blasts, $250 a day on Facebook. And sure, they'd get some sales, but they really weren't doing a whole lot with the wide variety of products that they were offering. Nobody really knew what we were offering.
Got it. So you were showing them a lot of educational content. Now, we mentioned at the outset a 700% increase in
700%.
organic
I was
reach?
shocked by the number myself because,
Yeah.
we had gotten a little bit of here and there. One of the old social media posts, she'd post here and there sporadically, but really what helped was the consistency, posting every day at the same around the same time every day, and utilizing the different platforms. So we were just doing Facebook, now we're doing Instagram, now we're doing Twitter, now we're doing Pinterest, just leveraging all of the different platforms to just drive that traffic and get more eyes on our products.
Fantastic. So you're posting every day.
Yes,
You're
sir.
utilizing, more than one channel. What were some of the other strategies that you used that you think might have helped you get to that level of organic reach?
We worked with our customer base. So a lot of customers would come to our stores to do home renovation products or projects rather. They would come and buy cabinets, they buy butcher block, they buy flooring. And realistically, after they left, we never knew what happened. So by utilizing these channels with Facebook and other platforms, we were able to see what people were doing with our projects or doing with their projects with our materials. And then what I ended up doing was sharing those with the audience. Like, look what you could do. Look what you could do with our project. See what Mary in Charlotte, North Carolina has done with this butcher block. And as I kept posting that, we kept getting more and more engagement, more and more customer photos started flooding in. And it was like the content was making itself in a sense.
That's awesome. You can't go wrong with UGC. So that was obviously a big part of your content strategy. Were there other types of content that you tried, or how did you decide or find out that this particular approach was going to be the best one?
We tried a lot of different methods. We tried a lot of what they wanted was sales ads, right? Here's
Yeah,
the picture of the product, here's the price, come buy it, right?
right.
And that kind of marketing just doesn't hardly work anymore. Everybody does that. Everywhere you see a big billboard, here's a couch and here's the price. What I wanted to do was make it more of a back and forth between us and the customer. So we did try some of those, here's the thing, here's the price. And for some products that did work well, but for most products such as, flooring and doors, things of that nature, it just wasn't selling because they couldn't see the benefit. They couldn't see it in their own home.
That makes sense. Did you explore, or have you explored using Pinterest?
I really love Pinterest. That was
Yeah.
one of the things we butted heads on a lot was I wanted to utilize more Pinterest, and we were doing some blog posts here and there, but the people in charge of writing the blog posts were more salesy. It was like, oh, look at this door. Here's how much it is, and blogging is more about telling a story. So I hope that in the future we can do more of that storytelling, blogging, and then posting that to Pinterest, like, hey, come look at this blog. Here's what we did versus here, come look at this blog. Here's what we're selling, right? That was hard to get them to understand.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I bet a lot of that UGC content would perform well on Pinterest, because we often say Pinterest is for dreamers. And if you're showing people on Pinterest what they can do with that butcher block, because to your point, here's Mary, here's what she did with it, I think that would fuel them fairly well. Of the other platforms that you were engaging on, was there one in particular, I'm just curious, that you saw the most success on?
Facebook really was the one
Mm,
we had the most success with. And that was because what we ended up doing for Facebook is we separated it by store. So each of our locations has their own Facebook page, and we were posting things relevant to that store.
got it. And you said, how many locations did you say you have?
We have 11. We have
11,
11
right.
locations.
That is a lot of Facebook pages to manage. Folks, we're talking with Courtney McCoy about ways for you to increase your organic social media reach and engagement. And in a moment, we're going to unpack more of her great work. But first, I want to make sure you've got the right tool in place to actually measure all of your work and deliver ROI proving reports to your C-suite.
Actually can't say enough great things about the reporting with AgoraPulse. I feel like that is my job security every month. My clients aren't that active on social media, which is why they have me manage their profiles for them. And when they get that report, it verifies that they're making a good investment.
The metrics downloads are so simple and easy to read, and it really helps me show where we are doing things right on social and where we need to improve.
So I think one of the main reasons why we decided to move to AgoraPulse is because it's a more comprehensive, integrated tool for all of our marketing needs. So rather than what we have had to do historically with Sprout, which is use certain parts of that platform that work really well and then supplement it with other outside tools, by moving to AgoraPulse, we were able to keep all of that into one technology platform, which is not only a time saver, but it also makes sure that our analytics and all of our reporting's on point because we're pulling all from the same source.
It's a really great platform for agencies. It makes it really easy to manage, but gives me really, really, really robust information that actually helps me develop better strategies for my clients and better plans of action.
So, Courtney, obviously reach is fantastic, and I'm sure some of the other metrics that you were seeing were really great as well. But how do you balance the need for professional, authentic content while avoiding some of the pitfalls of focusing too much on what some might consider vanity metrics?
Vanity metrics, that was the biggest thing. They wanted to know how much of this we're getting, how much of that we were getting. And there was no direct way to track foot traffic in the store versus our what we were getting on Facebook, just the number of comments versus foot traffic. There was no correlation at all. What I had to get them away from was like, yes, people are posting, but that doesn't mean they're coming in the store. But people who are seeing it may be coming into the store. They're just not posting about it. So it was really important to not look at the engagement per se, but we wanted to see who had eyes on our posts. We wanted to know who we were actually reaching. So reach and impressions were the two main things I measured. I wanted to get as many eyes on it as possible, and hopefully some of those eyes ended up looking in the actual stores themselves.
Terrific. So you got buy-in from management to embrace brand awareness as the metric and just assume that if you're getting enough brand awareness, then that's going to translate into sales into the stores at some point when those buyers are ready. Because we all know just because I see a couch on Facebook doesn't mean I'm ready to buy a couch on Facebook, even if it's someone showing off just how amazingly well that they put it in their home. And there's a wonderful story about that. The best post in the world is not going to make me want to buy that piece of furniture unless I'm in a position to do it. But 6 months later, I might remember, oh, you know what? We're eating a couch now, and I know where I can get a fantastic piece of furniture. So I love that approach. Can you talk about the importance of community management and how you've built such an engaged online community for your stores?
So a lot of it was posting those customer stories. By posting those customer stories, it started out with just reviews. We would post good reviews that we got. Oh, Jeff helped me down at the Columbia location, and he was really nice. And so what I ended up doing was reaching out to Columbia. Hey, Columbia, do you have a picture of Jeff? Oh, fantastic. I'm going to pair this picture of Jeff with this review. And that really helped, bridge the gap between the store and the customer. And that was really my goal as a social media coordinator, was to bridge that gap. As I started doing that and more people started posting their projects, more and more people started coming forward like, hey, I bought that at Southeastern Salvage, or hey, I was at Chattanooga and so helped me. So I by doing that, it just opened the door for more and more, like an avalanche. They just kept coming and coming and coming. And now we're at a position where every week I have 3 or 4 news stories in my inbox ready for me to share.
What a treasure trove. I know a lot of folks listening are going to be really jealous to have that amount of UGC and those great reviews and pairing those with the specific people at the stores. That's just brilliant. What a terrific way to humanize the brand, because we buy from people. And so we want to be able to know who we're talking to. That's terrific. Let's talk about paid social for a second. Shifting gears a little bit, what were some of the strategies that you used to run paid social media, some ad campaigns, some traffic campaigns, and how did you measure their effectiveness?
That is a great question, because like I said, the previous social media coordinator we had tremendous success with these 3-day paid ads, but I wasn't having the same amount of success. The market has changed, And after the pandemic, most people are kind of shying away from buying a lot of high cost products. What we ended up doing was doing a longer term campaign where we would run 10-day campaigns featuring 2 weekends. So I'd start them on Thursday and I'd run them until not the following Sunday, but the following Sunday for 10 days to maximize those weekends, because that's where we had most of our visitors, were people scrolling on the weekends, looking for new project ideas, looking for new things to buy because they were home. During the week, we didn't do so much, but having it consistently running those 10 days, Facebook really appreciated it, and it really boosted our numbers versus just the little 3 days here and there.
That makes a lot of sense. That's the kind of advice I've heard often from paid ads experts, that if you only run an ad for a couple of days, you're not giving that algorithm enough time to learn about your audience and how they're resonating or not with the ad. So that's a terrific approach. I'm wondering if you could share an example of a success story from one of these campaigns, whether they were paid or organic, that you led as part of this transition to digital marketing.
One of my favorite stories was we got this huge shipment of dog treats. I'm talking big bones, buffalo ears, you name it, all sorts of different kinds of dog treats. What I ended up doing was launching a campaign that says, hey, if you buy our dog treats and you post a picture with your dog enjoying them, hashtag SES dogs, and we'll feature your dog. And that got a lot of people talking. We had a huge influx of people posting their dogs enjoying these big rawhide bones, these little dogs with their little treats, just dogs and dogs and dogs. And people love dogs. People love animals. And that was just building a lot of engagement. We featured several dozen dogs throughout that month. Also, with that partnership, with the dog treats, we were able to partner with local adoption agencies and shelters, and we were offering adopt-a-thons at some of our stores. We were really giving back to the community in that way as well.
Oh, I love that story. That's fantastic. Yeah, it's funny. I was interviewing someone else for our B2B podcast, and he was telling the story. This is Jay Bear, was telling the story of one of his clients. It was Pioneer. They were their farm seed company, and they started featuring farm dogs every Friday on their Facebook page, because to your point, people love dogs. And so that became their most successful thing, because farmers and their dogs, they love it. So obviously that's the real takeaway from this interview, folks. You got to work dogs into your marketing strategy one way or another. But in all seriousness, I love this idea, because what you've done is encourage customers to come into the store, pick up a relatively inexpensive item compared to
like
a piece of furniture
for a bag or for a large bone. They were very inexpensive, and the more you bought, the more you saved. And a lot of our stores are dog friendly, so people could bring in their dog with them to try out the treats in store if they wanted to. So yeah, it really brought in a lot of customers.
That's terrific. And of course, now that they're there, wow, I can look around and see what else that you've got. Love that draw for foot traffic. Looking back, I'd love if you could just share your top 3 lessons that you've learned so far from your experience that might benefit a lot of the other retailers that are listening, tons of social media managers facing these kinds of struggles. Maybe they've been with a brick and mortar for a long time and they're still not getting that buy-in from management. What would your advice be?
Number 1, don't back down. If you are a small social media manager in a large company, you're probably getting all kinds of pushback, all kinds of ideas. Stick to what you know, because you went to school for it or you did all the training for it. You know what you're talking about. Trust your instincts, trust your knowledge, and don't back down. The second thing I would say, stick it out. Like you said, with the Facebook ad campaigns, the longer they run, the more time the algorithm has to learn. So give it a few days. And if it's not showing progress right away, just give it a few days and stick it out. And you may be surprised. But on the other hand, I would say also be flexible. Being really flexible, like, hey, this isn't necessarily working. We did give it a few days, but being flexible, let's try something else. Being able to take something and flop it or present it a different way will really help you maintain consistency and maintain a nice even flow of leads and customers.
Terrific advice. Those are the kinds of things that people really want to accomplish. They want to have that maintenance of success, but they also want that peace of mind. I know being a social media manager is not easy, particularly in today's market and economy. So thank you for that advice, Courtney. For those who want to learn more, maybe connect with you and reach out, where can they go to find you?
I am on LinkedIn. You can find me at Courtney McCoy on LinkedIn. And I am actually considering new roles. So hit me up. But yeah, and as always, I loved AgoraPulse. I actually swapped us to use AgoraPulse. Love it, love it, love it. I never want to go back.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Courtney. Thank you for all of you listening today. We'll have all of Courtney's links, of course, in the show notes as always. But that's all the time we've got for today, friends. Don't forget to find the Social Pulse Podcast Retail Edition on Apple and drop us a review. We'd love to know what you think. Until next time. Thank you for listening to another episode of Social Pulse Podcast Retail Edition, hosted by Mike Allton and powered by AgoraPulse, the #1 rated social media management solution, which you can learn more about at AgoraPulse.com. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe on your favorite podcast player and be sure to leave us a review. Your feedback is important to us.
This podcast is heard along the Marketing Podcast Network. For more great marketing podcasts, visit marketingpodcasts.net.